The vast Eurasian steppes stretched endlessly beneath wide skies, a land of fierce winds, wild horses, and endless grass. Among scattered nomadic clans, the Huns were both feared and misunderstood, seen as savage outsiders by settled civilizations but united by a fierce code of survival and loyalty. In this harsh world, a child was born, Attila, whose arrival was marked by strange omens. Elders whispered of a star that burned too bright, and a comet trailing fire across the night sky. Some feared he was cursed, others believed he was destined for greatness. Raised amidst the relentless demands of nomadic life, Attila learned the art of war before he could walk steadily, riding horses with unmatched skill, mastering the bow, and understanding the harsh laws that governed his people. Yet behind his fierce eyes lay a mind sharp as a blade, quietly watching the fragile alliances and simmering rivalries between tribes. The Huns were not a unified force yet but a collection of fractious clans. Each chief jealously guarded power, wary of outsiders and even their own kin. In this fragmented world, young Attila's potential was a whisper, a shadow growing in the vast steppe, a future storm waiting to break. Power among the Huns was won with steel and cunning, not birthright alone. Attila's climb was soaked in blood and shadowed by whispered plots. His uncle, the reigning chieftain, ruled with ruthless ambition but underestimated the young warrior's hunger. Allies turned traitors overnight. Poison slipped into shared cups. Secret meetings under moonless skies sealed fates with silent daggers. Attila learned early that trust was a luxury no leader could afford, not in a world where family could be your deadliest enemy. Each victory against rival clans wasn't just a battle, it was a calculated move in a deadly game of survival. Attila forged fragile alliances, only to shatter them when the moment demanded. His charisma was a weapon, his promises binding yet easily broken when the throne was at stake. Amid this bloody chessboard rumors swirled. Was Attila truly unstoppable, or did darker forces guide his hand? Enigmatic advisors whispered of destiny and curses, and some feared his rise was less man-made, more preordained. In the end, Attila emerged not just as a conqueror but as a master of fear. A ruler who understood that in the Hunnic world, power was the ultimate truth, and betrayal the cruel price. The thunder of thousands of hooves echoed across Europe's borders as the Huns rode like a storm sweeping from the east. But this was no chaotic raid, it was a calculated campaign orchestrated by Attila's brilliant mind. Each strike was precise, designed to break not only armies but the very spirit of those who dared stand against them. The Huns were masters of mobility, their swift horses carrying them through forests and mountains that slowed heavier forces. Their composite bows rained death from afar, and their hit-and-run tactics left towns burned and soldiers scattered before reinforcements could arrive. Yet beneath the carnage was a sinister political game. Roman governors, terrified of annihilation, offered bribes and forged uneasy alliances. They paid Attila handsomely to turn his attention elsewhere, feeding his empire without open war while secretly hoping to weaken him from within. Behind closed doors, the Roman elite debated their limited options: bribe or fight, negotiate or betray. But every deal with the scourge of God sowed seeds of distrust, and Attila's forces exploited every crack in their enemies' resolve. Europe was caught in a deadly dance. A kingdom on horseback wielding fear as its sharpest weapon, and a crumbling empire trying desperately to survive. Within the grand marble halls of Rome, power was a fragile and dangerous game. Emperors and senators watched anxiously as Attila's shadow stretched ever closer. Fear gnawed at them, but pride and ambition tangled with their survival instincts. Behind gilded doors, secret meetings unfolded. Corrupt officials whispered in dimly lit corridors, plotting to use treachery and diplomacy to weaken the unstoppable Hunnic tide. Some favored paying tribute, hoping gold could buy peace. Others saw opportunity in duplicity, offering false promises to divide Attila's allies. Spies moved like ghosts, carrying whispered secrets, and forged letters that inflamed distrust both within Rome and among the Huns. Alliances shifted like quicksand, with promises broken as easily as oaths were made. The Roman leadership was torn, While some sought peace to preserve their empire, others dreamed of using Attila's own ambitions against him. Yet every plan risked the empire's destruction. The throne was a battlefield as dangerous as any war zone. In this web of deceit, the true cost of survival was invisible: betrayal not just of enemies, but of kin, honor, and the fragile trust that held an empire together. Amid his growing empire, Attila was no mere warlord. He was a man tormented by shadows only he could see. Night after night, haunting visions clawed at his mind, cryptic symbols burned into firelight, ominous voices whispering warnings in forgotten tongues, and dreams where his empire crumbled to dust. A mysterious seer, cloaked in secrets, appeared at his court, delivering a chilling prophecy. Glory would be swift but fleeting, and death would come on a night cloaked in blood and betrayal. The warning unsettled even Attila's fiercest warriors, who whispered of curses and fate. This growing paranoia made Attila both ruthless and unpredictable. He tightened his grip, scrutinizing even his closest allies for signs of treason. Trust became a scarce currency, and the king's court was a place of suspicion where every smile might hide a dagger. Yet, beneath the fear, Attila's determination burned brighter. The prophecy did not weaken him. It drove him to seize every moment, to build an empire that would echo through eternity, even if it meant dancing with fate itself. All of Europe held its breath as Attila's massive army approached the gates of Rome, the eternal city trembling under the weight of impending doom. The world expected a brutal siege, the fall of a mighty empire, and the collapse of centuries of civilization. But then, the unthinkable happened. Attila halted. No siege, no storming of walls, just an eerie stillness that baffled both friend and foe. Whispers spread of secret negotiations behind closed curtains, shadowy envoys slipping through the night to broker peace. Some spoke of mysterious plagues striking the Hun camp, others suspected betrayal within Attila's own ranks. Rumors hinted at poison, deceit, or a sudden pact with unseen powers. Historians would later debate the truth, but in that tense pause, Rome escaped destruction by the thinnest of threads. The great conqueror retreated, leaving Europe shaken but alive, and setting the stage for the fragile balance of power to shift once more. The siege that never was became one of history's greatest mysteries, a testament to the unpredictable dance of war, fate, and human ambition. The night was meant to be a celebration. Attila's wedding night with a new bride, a union meant to strengthen his empire. But instead, it became a shroud of mystery and dread. Attila was found dead at dawn, his body cold and lifeless, sending shockwaves through his court and the Hunnic world. Whispers ignited like wildfire: poison? Assassination? Curse fulfilled? Allies turned into suspects. Family members eyed each other with growing suspicion. Secret factions vied to seize power, each weaving their own stories to justify their claims. No clear answer emerged, only rumors tangled with fear and ambition. The sudden death fractured the empire, unraveling the tightly woven web Attila had spun. In the dark of that fateful night, the scourge of God fell, but the real killers might never be known. The empire he built teetered on the edge, threatened not by foreign swords but by the darkness within. Without Attila's iron hand, the Hunnic Empire quickly unraveled like a fragile tapestry torn by wind. His heirs, each hungry for power, plunged into ruthless rivalries, turning brother against brother in bloody battles beneath open skies. Once united clans splintered, old enemies seized the moment to rise. Former allies abandoned their oaths, seeking safety or revenge. The fearsome cavalry that had stormed Europe was now a fractured force, vulnerable and scattered. The great network of alliances and intimidation crumbled, leaving the Huns exposed to the wrath of neighboring kingdoms and the resilient Romans. With every skirmish, the empire's legendary power faded, swallowed by chaos and betrayal. The dream of an empire forged in blood and fear dissolved, replaced by legends whispered around campfires, reminders of a once mighty force undone not by conquest, but by its own internal wounds. Though the Huns vanished from history's stage, the fear they inspired endured long after their horses disappeared into legend. Across medieval kingdoms, rulers invoked Attila's name like a curse or a warning, calling upon his shadow to terrify enemies or rally their own troops. Stories grew taller with each telling, tales of invincible warriors, unholy alliances, and supernatural forces driving the Hunnic hordes. Attila became more than a man. He was a symbol of unstoppable destruction, a specter haunting the dreams of Europe's rulers. Even centuries later, archaeologists unearthed relics and ruins that hinted at the empire's true reach, sparking fascination and fear anew. The legacy was a double-edged sword, warning against the dangers of ambition and the thin line between hero and monster. The Empire of Fear may have crumbled, but its echoes shaped history's darkest chapters and the world's collective imagination. Long after Attila's death, hidden manuscripts and secret histories surfaced, hinting at a deeper game behind the empire's rise. Was Attila truly the master of his fate, or a pawn manipulated by shadowy forces pulling the strings from behind the scenes? Whispers spoke of rival empires using dark alliances, secret cults guiding wars, and mystical powers shaping the course of history. Some believed Attila's conquests were less about ambition and more about serving a greater cosmic plan, one that balanced chaos and order in a world on the brink. The line between conqueror and puppet blurred, raising a haunting question: did Attila command the Empire of Fear, or was he its most powerful illusion? The saga ends not with certainty, but a chilling invitation to look beyond legend and ask who truly controls the fate of empires.